Your voice, your vote. We are just 2 days away from Election Day, and we are answering some questions you have before you head to the polls.
There are a lot of them. Joining us now is Raphael Sonenshein, the Executive Director for Public Affairs at CSULA. Good morning. Thanks for being here. The countdown is on. Let's get right into it. Talk about the LA mayoral race. It's everywhere in the media, right? Why is Rick Caruso closing the gap on Karen Bass? What do you think?
Well, there's two reasons. One is that he has spent an unprecedented amount of money, $100 million on the campaign, which can always make a huge difference. And the other is that he spent it very effectively because he's all over the place, maybe sometimes too much for some voters, all over TV, radio. He's got a field operation. With that kind of money, you don't actually have to choose between things. He has yet been unable to knock Karen Bass off her perch, even though the lead has narrowed considerably. She's still in the lead, according to the latest Times poll, but it's anybody's race at this point.
And can I ask you about the money? That we've heard her make comments about that over the last few days. She's really hitting that a lot. Do you think that's working for her to talk about how much she spent?
Yeah, I think it works with some voters, and with other voters it doesn't, because voters have just this very odd attitude about wealthy candidates, which is a lot of voters don't like it, and other voters by the argument that they won't be controlled by anybody else, special interests giving the money. I think it's been important for her to point out that the reason you may not have heard from her as much is that she doesn't have as big a megaphone. But I don't think it'll be determining. And the other factor is the state of the city, which has troubles in terms of homelessness and perceptions of rising crime. And on the other hand, the issue of abortion and partisan conflict nationwide and Democratic loyalty, both of which are very heavily in Karen Bass's favor.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see which aspects they're really focusing on and how they are approaching the campaign. In terms of the mayoral race in general, is there something specific we need to watch for this coming Election Day?
At this point, I think there's not that many people to persuade anymore. It's who votes. And right now, you've got the early voting coming in, and Democrats are leading on that pretty heavily. But on Election Day, you'd assume, as happened last time in the primary, that Republicans will turn out heavily the day of election. And then there'll be a third wave when all the vote by mail ballots come in that were sent in Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. And that's what extended Karen Bass's lead after early falling behind in the primary. So it was almost 3 elections going on. And God, we're going to have to strap in our seatbelts and not reach conclusions Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, maybe Thursday. And I'm only starting to be able to do that because I want to know. I want to know who won, and we're not going to know right away.
Sure. You know, you may not have the answer to this question. Mayor Garcetti, he ran on homelessness. Nothing's really changed. Some would argue it's gotten worse over the past 8 years. Both Caruso and Bass are really running on homelessness as well as one of their, main campaign issues. Do you think one person can make a change?
Not in Los Angeles, not with the number of governing authorities that have to be brought on board that don't report to the mayor, such as the city council, the county board of supervisors, the school district, the federal government, the state government. But a mayor can lead. And I think both candidates are putting out an argument for why they can play that leadership role. I will tell you, I think when it comes to homelessness, the voters are pretty skeptical about both candidates' plans, asking themselves, we've heard a lot of this before. We've heard about big numbers and people are going to be put into shelters or put into permanent housing. We'd like to make sure you're the person who can make that happen. And voters are watching that very carefully to sort of cut through what you just said, which is it feels like we've been mired in this for a while.
Yep. Yeah. Even if you don't live in LA, you visit and you see it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Raphael Sonenshein, we appreciate your insight and spending time with us here on this Sunday morning. Thanks again.
It was my pleasure.